Well, you're here live on the set as we begin this whole thing behind the scenes. I look rather sparkly. I kind of like that, actually. I'm a very sparkly person. Let's see what I got going. As Jim is saying, we got, I cannot respond to young Timothy. Okay, create broadcast. Blah, blah, blah. I'm streaming. Thank you. It's educational. Technology. And what we got? Is that me? It is me. Hello, me. What? I really gotta stop this sparkly shit. One moment, my friends.
Okay. See if I have to reboot today or not.
Yeah. Right now I'm trying to prevent myself from being too sparkly.
I do see it.
Yes, I'm not. It looks like I'm ready to beam up somewhere. It's a pretty cool effect, but not what I want to know. Let's try this. There we go. Okay. Right, and then broadcast is started. Oh, I see the blue dots again over there. Create broadcast. Oh, I need to. Mr. Tim. Hello, Timothy.
Hello there. How are you?
I'm rather confused. I can actually hear you. I don't know.
Well, sorry.
Yeah. Like one of those Japanese Godzilla movies with, hello, he's a monster. He's coming over,
over there.
Yes. Right. Let me finish up this.
All right, let's see if I freeze.
We have blue dots and we have John. Oh,
Hey,
wow.
Freezes. Maybe it was a VPN all along.
Oh, my
It'd be
goodness.
stupid if there was a VPN.
Wouldn't that be stupid?
And
Do you use VPNs
I do.
with Discord?
I'm not today, but I use them fairly often. By the way, the UK government is asking people not to use them anymore.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're such bastards. They're freaking...
Do you know why?
So that they
Because
can...
people are using it to sidestep the age confirmation on porn sites. So they want everybody to stop using them so they can confirm that who you are and what you watch, and that you're old enough to be allowed.
Oh, wow. I know for a fact that I'm not old enough to see some of the stuff I've seen online.
I don't need to
geez.
see.
Oof,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go and kick it. Since it's going to just be us, let me hit I always like doing a start anyway. So let's go here.
Okay, I'll be quiet and get out of the way.
Hey there, my name is Daniel Markham. You're here at the Roundup. And the Roundup is a place where we get together once a week and talk about news articles from the status of programmers, tacticians, practitioners, and basically there are no rules except for the rule is that there are no rules. We should be nice to one another, and that's about it. Today we've got John and Tim. Hey, John, Tim, how you doing?
Good.
Pretty good.
Um,
John has a very ornamental T-shirt.
yes, almost Christmas-like.
Guatemala.
Guatemala. I'm sticking with the old standard. I have Batman.
Oh, nice.
I've got my Code Monkey shirt somewhere or another. My wife refuses to let me wear it. Something about holes being in it. I don't know. There's a lot of
ratty shirts. Yeah.
I love
But
my
they're so
ratty shirts.
comfortable.
I love my ratty nerd shirts. I'm sorry, So John, what you been up to this past week?
Oh, I did finish the book, Turn the Ship Around, which is kind of that leadership book about the submarine commander that kind of developed a leader style versus a leader follower. So it's pretty relevant. I mean, there's, some parts that are, I guess, depends on your job, maybe more or less relevant. But in general, it was interesting to, there's some pretty good things that I think would resonate with most of us who prefer autonomy over command and control when it's not things that are life-threatening, like Get in that lifeboat. Yes, sir. Okay, I'm happy to be command and controlled. I'll go save myself. But other things, yeah, it's interesting in terms of some of the techniques that were born about by something as simple as, the daily briefings.
Yes.
Nobody listens to them. Or the miscommunications on turn left.
I believe, if I remember correctly,
like that was too late.
in World War II, the Germans were confused by the Americans because the Americans didn't follow their own standards. So the Germans would study the doctrine and the standard, and the Americans would not follow any of that anyway. So it was just good luck.
Maybe that's because Patton was learning all about Rommel's techniques, and so he was doing Rommel's, and they were thinking he was doing the U.S. Army. Yeah.
Patton realized that he was playing the actor role of general, and he also knew how the Army worked. He wasn't a dummy. But at one point in the movie, he goes, we're going to do something or another. Not one of us will come out alive. And his staff member says, General, sir, they don't really know when you're serious or not. He said, good. I don't want them to know. So it's like, okay, yeah. Mr. Tim, what have you been doing?
Well, let's see. The reason I missed our last hangout was I was on a little long weekend trip to Campbelltown on the far west edge of Scotland, out in a peninsula at the very tip.
Wow. Were there any shrubbery?
Yeah. Herrings. Did you find any herrings to cut trees down with?
But it was quite nice. Campbellton is it's home of Springbank Distillery and of at one point they were the world capital of whiskey. They had 30 distilleries, and now it's down to 3, maybe will be 4 sometime soon. So they're a major whiskey area still, which is funny. But mostly what we did is we walked the town and sat by the water and watched the boats and watched the birds and
cool.
ate some nice meals and took it easy. We relaxed and enjoyed the sea air and the easy, slow lifestyle.
Quite chill. And
even though I was sort of half joking about the shrubs, I'm just picturing, the further north you go, like the less the less giant trees are. So I was just picturing a windswept, kind of mossy, what was it? What's it like? Well,
it was, it's actually very far west and south.
Oh, it's south.
Yeah. So it's
west and
close
north.
to the islands. So it's actually kind of covered with trees and pretty much gorse. Usually we see gorse everywhere in the highlands and lavender but it's not the season for it either. But it's got some mountains nearby, and it's got lots of water and some beaches and a pretty big harbor. It's really just like any other little fishing village you can imagine.
Very cool.
Like in Maine or something.
Yeah, quite a lot like that.
Oh, cool.
So I know that in Sonoma they have winery tours. You get on a bus or whatever, and you go around from winery to winery, vineyard to vineyard. And I know England is famous for pub crawls, of course, some in America. Do they have some kind of whiskey?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They have a number of distillery tours, and some of them are week long. You go to a different distillery every day. Y'all climb on a bus. They call it a coach here. Y'all get on the coach and you go to the next distillery and you have a drink or two, and then they take you to a meal, and then the next distillery, and you do this for several days in a row. There are something on the order of 200 distilleries.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So they'll take you to the ones that they've got contracts with.
Yeah. Nice.
That is
most of them are really beautiful because a lot of them were originally put in, when it was illegal and England was, trying to find them and shut them down and tax them.
Oh,
but it
really?
became the underground currency here. So a lot of them are tucked away in hollows and, little coves by the ocean where they can bring a boat in during high tide, load it up and get back out. So there's a lot of them are very scenic locations. And if you go there now, it's, of course, it's a full, well-known, well-advertised business, but it's just a beautiful spot.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a similar situation with the moonshiners in Appalachia. It was
yeah. Well, they came from here.
I do.
The moonshiners were mostly Scots-Irish. moved up from Ireland, and they were neither Irish nor Scottish, so they were hated. And then, of course, they became easy to deport, and you could capture them and send them away as slaves, or you could just drive them into poverty, and they would immigrate. And they settled in Appalachia,
You were
which, by
correct.
the way, is part of the same mountain range too. Strangely enough, it goes under the ocean and comes back up over here.
Oh,
I did
really?
not know that.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the DNA test, and I am like 99.2% Scots, Irish, English. It's just
Yeah.
to what I got.
That's where they ended up, man.
Yeah, it's my people. It's funny. I listen to like bluegrass music and some of the hills music here. Reminds me a lot of Celt music and traditional Scottish music. There's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, and in fact, country music's quite popular in Scotland and
Oh.
Ireland.
Yeah, I reckon I realized that about 10 or 20 years ago. It's like I was watching an Australian TV show, and the guy's like listening to Hank Williams or something. I'm like, what? And it's like, no, that's a thing. That's a worldwide thing now.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan, but hey, I was raised by big fans, so it's okay.
I love a song about a man who loses his wife, his truck, his dog bit him and died, and now he's just sitting on the porch feeling sorry for himself. But I mean, that's also blues. So,
Yeah, and I do like some blues. But
Yeah.
Now we're waiting for the new AI song where the truck runs away with the dog.
no.
Complete with video.
Complete video. Exactly. So, John, you're first up for picking an article this week.
Oh, well, there was that interesting one that Tim posted with the guy and the metrics and I didn't realize GitHub is, maybe not what I used to think it was.
Oh,
But anyway, that guy that
I'm
does
sorry.
AI actually boost developer productivity?
I'm sorry, Tim. I completely missed this. Sure enough. So
That's
you
okay.
guys?
I posted it under artificial intelligence channel, so
That's where it's supposed to go. You fooled me. You put it worse for me.
So the good news about it is, of course, it's a wider study. The bad news is I have questions about the veracity, but I'll let John go ahead. He's leading into this one, so.
Yeah, I mean, if I were just to sort of condense it, I didn't realize this is possible, but it makes sense if you are the owners of the data that, the bulk of the data that they use, which makes sense, were private repos. Like my firefighting app, of course, is a private repo, versus public ones, which, yeah, most of my public repos I don't touch, I've hardly ever used, or people working on, public repos off and on the weekends. But mostly they're saying that, the folks that are working on private repos are usually real work, and there's a lot of activity. So I think that's the gist of, the results that they started pouring over. Anyway, it's kind of fascinating to see that amount of data and to see things like there was a definite boost from using AI to help write code, so to speak. But there's also a dramatic boost in the rework. So there's sort of a give and take. Like you might have, wow, we're 30% more productive, except half of that was redoing it. So we're really only maybe 15%. Or 10 to 15%.
I always use Kokomo, was it Coco 2 for project
Kokomo 2?
estimation, yeah, and then always Kalox per donut. It's just, I haven't seen a metric system yet that it actually worked for this.
Yeah, and that's another interesting point because there's, like for me, the only accrual of metrics that count, so to speak, are what value are you delivering?
Yes.
But that's harder to measure unless you've, it's something I always try to start with and build systems to measure that in products.
For those of you who are on the channel, you can drop by the Ways of Working, and there's a picture I posted about how they vibe code at Fang, and we won't go over that, but I brought that up because at the very bottom, he says we get a 30% increase in speed from feature proposal to when it hits production. So that number is the closest I've seen to a metric that actually you can use somewhere. But even that assumes that the feature proposal is actually a feature, and it's a
Yeah. It's the conundrum of the industry in terms of you can be super efficient at delivering low value work.
Yes.
So who cares?
Well, let's back that up though, because it's really talking about the task completion. So, okay, let's say that the actual coding part, which is, is 1/12 of the actual time you spend programming, right? It'll do typing for you. Now, of course, you're probably going to have to spend more time figuring out how to phrase that. So you probably won't count that when you're thinking about your productivity, but they said that it could be 55% faster in the task completion parts where it's writing the code, right?
I remain amazed that I can ask a simple question in English, and the AI goes, and all this stuff is just,
Yeah, it'll give an answer.
Yeah.
Remember that it's just looking off of someone else's homework paper, and it doesn't choose only A students. That's one of the concerns about it, looking at everybody's public repo, even if it, and of course it may be looking at private repos too, because Microsoft. But the fact that it's looking at all these repos, there's a lot of people who started up a project. I'm learning React. I've never seen React before. Well, that goes into the training data too.
Yes.
And there's thousands of those for every one actual useful product, I'm sure. So it's matching on whatever. It'll give you an answer, and it will write code for you. But we have a bunch of threads running on different media about the incredibly wrong things it's doing in code. So people who believe that vibe coding is a professional art need to go read the original article where the guy said, "Hey, I've just been doing this, not examining the results, asking for stuff. And, it's generating some stuff. It's entertaining. It's unprofessional, but it is kind of fun." And now
It's
people
a great way to prototype something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things, Tim, last week we did a walkthrough, and I actually picked some sort of toy project. And the toy project was don't do anything. I just want to call a function that does nothing. Just take a jagged string array from the prompt and reverse it. But I wanted to do it so that it was bug free. And that was a journey. That was like one of the things it did was it asked it for some code for something. It gave me code. The compiler had a problem with it. And the problem the compiler had was not related to the question I asked, but it had rewritten some other thing and had rewritten it to use an earlier version of F#. And it's like, well, yeah, train day is probably going to give you that answer, isn't it? But that's not the right answer.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to use it with actual tasks, and so I'm telling make sure here's our rules. We can't commit unless all the tests pass. All the tests must pass after every change, unless we say otherwise. Okay, now write me some tests, but do not implement it. These tests should fail. Okay, great. Now make these tests pass. I've done it. All the tests pass. And I say, do the tests pass? And it says, just a minute. Let me run the test. No,
it didn't.
There are 5 errors.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They don't pass. Well, we need to fix those. Yes, I missed that in the definition of done. So it goes through and it comes back with, I think it's a timing error. It seems to be a timing error on the browser because it never returned from one of these calls. Well, the test it wrote was waiting to see an element on the screen that isn't in the screen it's asking for. The timeout is actually a logic error. It didn't wait for the right stuff. But it doesn't know what it's doing.
No, there's no there. There's no mental model behind this, what it's doing.
So, if I listened to it and let it go into its death spin, it would have been, let me rewrite that test.
Yes.
Let me rewrite that test. Let me rewrite that test. And it never would have figured out, what was going on. And you look at it and it's like that element shouldn't be appearing. Oh, you're right. I missed that. Let me rewrite.
So I hate people that quote themselves, but I did post something earlier today, and it was like, when I started computers, it was this magical little box you could type stuff in. And nobody else knew what was in there, and you had to know the right codes and everything. If you knew the right codes and put them in the right order, this cool stuff would happen. You could balance checkbooks. You could do all this really neat stuff. Well, we've come full circle. Now, anybody who can speak any sort of language can generate all sorts of computer programming, but it's all wrong. And so it was like, now really the job is to figure out how in what way is this answer incorrect?
Mm-hmm. And of course, it's also not just trusting it when it's wrong. I mean, people lie to themselves. The one smaller study showed people thought they were 20% faster.
Yes.
But it actually showed they were 20% slower. They were as much slower as they thought they were faster.
That's crazy.
And even with this study, this guy's talking about, in some cases, they're quicker turning around tickets.
Yes.
But it takes 40% longer to get it out into production.
Gonna code me up a minivan. Yep, you're correct.
Yep.
Yeah, and he did tease out some interesting differences in terms of, greenfield versus brownfield and what you would expect. Low complexity code, you can get a big boost because it's simple. And, it's super complex code potentially, slows you down even. And especially in brownfield and, just a hunk of tangled mess, you can even lose productivity because it's just going to completely hallucinate and not know your context undoubtedly. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool with things you can do when you have a shit ton of data.
Yeah, it's weird.
I did do a thing with a friend the other day that was good, and this was simple. This is the right kind of simple. The code that was there was producing an XML document. And the test that had originally been written had a hard-coded, triple-quoted XML document that it would compare the result against. And any of us who've done this for any period of time went, whoa, that's going to be over-specifying like crazy. There's a million kinds of valid XML that's going to fail. And it's not going to fail because it's not valid. It's going to fail because it's not the version you said. So, there isn't.
It's not, XML's type free. Yeah, it's just whatever, yeah.
The ordering of attributes on a tag are not specified. So we looked at it and said, well, we're not going to do this. This is bad. Over-specification is daft. So we asked the AI, rewrite the assertions in this function to use, I think we were in Java, so it was DOM, to use DOM instead of a big string comparison. And it took it, 40 seconds. Would I have written that in 40 seconds? No. Okay, that instance of code editing was easily 3 times faster than me.
Yes.
But, but now I have to review it because I know it can be horribly wrong. And I have to make sure everything is still, the same content as before, that it's really doing the same things, that it's covering all the cases. And often it's not. And then I had to remove stupid comments because I didn't tell it to not comment. So it added, 7 or 8 new comments.
That's very nice.
For a couple lines of code and a bunch of vertical spaces. So I brought it back into format and looked it over, made sure it was right. And it's like, well, I could have done that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had to do that had I written it. So I'm looking at it and it's doing the typing faster, but it's leaving it on me because I know I'm working with, an idiot.
Yes.
So is it faster for you to work with an idiot than it is to work alone?
You need to ask some of my coworkers. My previous coworkers may have an answer for you, Tim. I'm sorry. I couldn't help that. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry. Is it faster?
By the way, this is the same guy who said that 10% of your employees aren't really working. They're ghost employees and they aren't doing anything at all, which I think is also untrue because it was based on commits. So he basically ended up getting a bunch of senior people fired instead of actually getting rid of people who weren't pulling their weight. Because, of course, a senior developer mostly works through the juniors. And if he takes a task, it's because it's a hard one that he's going to have to spend a lot of time on, or because it's unimportant so he can wait while he works with the juniors, right?
Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
And all the metrics, your best people are going to look like your worst people.
Yes.
And the junior who takes a lot of easy jobs because we know, he needs to learn the trivial parts and he needs to learn, get his chops and get his activity put together. He's going to close a lot of tickets.
Yep.
If you look at a metric of how much it helps the junior who doesn't know what he's doing yet, I think it'll probably show some pretty big jumps. But if you take a look, and he said here that, expert people can slow them down by 20% or more.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
can take 40% longer to go to production.
I think the beauty of Kanban is that if done correctly, it actually teaches teamwork, which is really nice. You can talk about teamwork all you want to, but if you're actually doing Kanban, everybody's looking at the ticket, the baton, not the runner and all that, right? You're having to figure out every time you move a card, how are we going to continue moving the appropriate cards? And that's really, really good for a team to get into. Tim, do you have a one of your choice and like to talk about?
Yeah. So I have a definite choice. There was an article, and I don't know if it's oddball or not. I posted it in general because I didn't know. There's a video that I watched today, and there's an article, and so we posted this thing. Apparently, if you want to, as you age, maintain or increase your muscle mass, sorry, not mash, your muscle mass, they're showing that the secret is cheese.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Love cheese.
So, Parmesan, a little bit of Parmesan with your breakfast and supper is recommended. Like a cup of cottage cheese before bed. And they're claiming that without making any other changes in a routine, an older woman who was losing a lot of muscle mass, couldn't carry herself on the stairs, was losing balance, regained muscle mass by doing nothing more than eating cottage cheese before bed.
I believe this. No, actually, I'm with them on this. This is I've been doing keto for about 4 years now, and keto was wonderful. I lost about 100 pounds. Kept it off. It's good. Count your carbs, folks. But recently, and I mean the last month or so, my wife has been doing Weight Watchers, and I will not do Weight Watchers because I don't weigh myself. I don't want to count the points. I'm already doing keto. It works fine. But what I thought I would do was eat more cheese and less meat. I'm losing weight. I'm losing weight doing that. I have one meal that's meat in it a day. The rest of it's just cheese and some sort of keto thing. And it's working. Whatever's in the little cheese. Cheese is your friend.
Yeah, and they're suggesting that the Parmesan helps you recover after a workout, and ricotta with olive oil on toast is supposed to be a big daytime thing to eat if you want to, improve your.
I love this article. Please, more like this, please. And even if it's all false, I still love it. It's
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter that it's true.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
But the thing I found about keto, which I imagine is true here too, is that if you do eat a lot of sugar, you will crave eating a lot. And it doesn't really matter whether it's sugar, carbs, or whatever. So worst thing in the world you can do is like half keto, half some other diet, because you're just going to eat a bunch of fat and get fat. It's a matter of maintaining your blood sugar spikes. Cool stuff. So I would like to do two things. Switch over to the coding screen. Watch the audio to make sure I'm speaking. Yes, I'm speaking. Good deal. Say something, guys.
Yep. You sound the same, so that's good.
Okay, good deal. All right. Okay, so what I was, we talked about the AI stuff, and this might be a good time to go over that, so I kind of moved over. So, Timothy, last week, I picked up this project, and I went through about 8 hours of me back and forth with Grok, and the goal here is to come up with some sort of workflow for programming using LLMs. And I tried to pick a problem that was non-existent. That is, whatever problems I had would not be related to the business domain. It would simply be in the tooling or framework involved using it. I figured that would give me a sort of a good example of how to work with the tools. I also thought, well, hey, how hard could it be? And it turned out to be danga hard. It makes me wonder how people in any sort of complex environment at all are getting any value out of Grok. But it's a weird thing. So I have a link in the thing you guys are welcome to go to. I have a human smoke test. Last week we did prompt history, and basically I just did a conversation. And so this week there's a prompt history too. And yeah, Bob. It's over here. Hang on. Yeah. So basically, here's all my commits. And long story short, we had one of the problems we had last week was It wouldn't take hyphenated options from the command line. And
Oh, right.
yeah, the reason why it wouldn't do that is because .NET kept intercepting it.
Yeah.
And
It
running
helps that. Yeah.
Well, I started off again with a completely new prompt. And so what I did was I took all the conversation I had last week, I put it into maybe 2 or 3 long paragraphs. And then I just used that as my initial prompt. And it did much better this time around. And I don't know, Tim's got the, I think, was it genie wrestling? I'm going with iterative kibitzing, maybe. There's got to be a word for this. But it did much better this time around. Basically, I have 2 things here. I've got a part, right here, app. I've got a program called app. There we go. And it is it's an F# script file, and I chose this platform because .NET runs about anywhere, and an F# script file requires no build step. So I can call it right from the command line. I can move it to a Mac, call it right from the command line. It's just easy peasy. I should just be able to use app FSX as if it were like cat or deer or whatever built-in command. That's what I told Grok. I'm like, look, just make this so it can't crash, and maybe it'll give me a bad answer, whatever, but just make it so I can call it. It works all the time. And last week we had this could not handle single -h because you need to actually go .NET FSI app.fsx, and the hyphen kept popping back over to the first command. Tried it again, and it's beautiful. Much better code. I loved looking at the code. Frack if the thing wasn't doing the same thing again. And I just said, okay, Grok, no, dude, I went through and said, you should really add double hyphens to all of these to prevent this error from happening. Oh, you're absolutely right. It just, whatever I said, it would, oh, you're completely right. We'd go through and do whatever. And I had to actually 2 or 3 times this time around, like, just here, Grok, I fixed this for you. And once I fixed it, Grok was like, oh, yeah, that's actually the way it is supposed to be. We're getting it.
That's wild.
What'd you say, Tim?
Is it working now?
Yes, you're working now.
Oh, well, run it once. Let me see it do the thing.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. So, basically what we have here is it takes a jagged string array separated by commas, by tabs, and it's just dog, cat, whatever. Bunch of random stuff, tabs in there, and it reverses the order of the columns. You have empty columns, different number of columns per line, but the only business functionality is reverses the columns. So it's
okay.
Pretty dang simple. And so to test this, let's see if I can. There we go. So it's yeah, I'll just have to, so to test this, you can actually go to the smoke test if you want to do that. I want to make sure I actually type in what I would normally type in. I just don't get nervous and screw it up here. Okay, here we go. So here's the smoke test, also in the repository there. And first test is a bash test. You just cat appsample.txt to app. And if it works correctly, it should just reverse whatever the columns are. There we go down here. There we go. And my requirement was it just worked as a single word on the command line, not a bunch of words. And there we go. It did perfectly. And if we go to a DOS prompt, same file, same directory, a DOS prompt. The DOS is a little different because they have a type command, but it does the same thing. Type appsample.txt and just pipe that to the app. And
I know it seems very arrogant of me, but I always forget that DOS exists. I never think to make my scripts also work there because I assume everybody's using the Linux subsystem in Windows.
Well, yeah, I'd actually want to run this in the browser at some point, but the point being just to try to make the platform as complex as possible so that we're just dealing with tooling issues and not business issues.
Nice.
Yeah, so if we ask it for help, it will display the help first, and then actually the rest of the stuff, and it'll probably scroll too fast to see it here.
Ah, but there's the help.
Hey, no, oh no, it got me again. You
So
dang.
you didn't use a double H. A double
Oh,
dash.
you're correct. Oh, I'm sorry. Gee, sorry. Thanks. I'm like, no, dang it.
Let the help output.
I taught you better, Grok. Here we go. And so it did all that. So let me just do over here in Bash. I'll do a head on it. Go just do the head on that. Maybe N15. I got to put the help in here as well. There we go. That should be what we want. And then there's the help file. And so this is the help file that Grok made for me. It made a really wonderful little help file. It gives you usage. Here are the different options I put in there.
You know, it's been pretty good about documentation, writing README files, writing UseMe files, you know, writing suggestions for testers and things, how to set it up, how to run it. Contributing files. Have you had it write a contributing file?
No, not yet, no.
Ooh,
What's
ask
that?
it to write contributing.md and hold on to your hat.
That's all you have to say.
What does it do?
Yeah.
What does it do?
Just say write contributing.md.
Well, yeah,
Not
but
best if your contributing's all caps, but you know, up to you.
I'm missing the point here. You ask it to write dog and it writes dog. Is that the...
No.
I have a feeling it's going to be, it'd be like saying write me a readme.md.
Yes.
It's going to put something in there.
But
Lots
it's
of stuff.
contributing. So see what it thinks your rules are by having it write you a contributing file.
And this would be for this repository, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in that
Okay.
directory. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will have to come back to that because I pulled the tool out. I'm using a web tool because I didn't want the tool to get in the flow. I'm trying to do micro commits and track it as it goes. But yeah, we'll do this. So yeah, so that seems to work okie dokie in the smoke test. As you can see, you know, it's at the end, I've got, okay, well, take some sample tests. Here's this one here. Take the sample text, run it through an app test app, which is basically the same program right now, with some hard-coded smoke tests in there. And then give me the what is it? I'm sorry, verbose info mode, help. You just do it all. And then send it to the other guy, because the only thing this thing does is take jagged string arrays and puts out a jagged string array. So fine, you guys should just be able to pass stuff back and forth. And that actually helped a lot. Because I was able to quickly show, wait a minute, Grok, if the input and output are always the same, why can't I pipe this to that one? Oh yeah, you're exactly correct. And it would go.
You should be able to do it twice and return back to the first.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah. So let's try that here.
Reversibility. Now you're putting up a high bar.
Yes, exactly. That is a high bar.
So I send it to app, and I will send that to app test, and I will. That should be it. That should be no. That should be it. Now first, let's do the thing. Look at the last line here. Hang on. So
Something badly, I think.
yes, yeah, banana red, then badly. So then we pipe that to app test.
So I'm guessing it will be red then badly and then banana.
Yes. Oh. Okay.
I don't know. I'm just guessing which the line breaks are.
Ooh. There's a delay when it brings up the interpreter. Oh no, it just ate it.
Oh.
Got a new smoke test.
Oh, because it's not a file. You got to pipe the results to a file.
Yeah. Max, let's try that. Sure enough, let's do. I love some sort of dumb answer like A1 because I love remembering my halcyon days of actually not having like anything but one or two variable in it. So, all right, so we'll pipe this to A1. Make sure there is an A1. Yep, banana red then badly. Then we'll just
Now you're cooking with gas. Now
And we go A1. And we'll just do that to app test. Okay. Banana red, then badly. It is, yeah, it is. There it is. There's banana red, then badly in reverse order at the very top. I don't know. Maybe test isn't working. I don't. So we'll continue down the thing. These tests are going to have to get more and more complex. And I was actually having to run these tests to see if Grok wasn't BSing me. And that got a bit old. All right. So if I bring up here's the app test app, which should actually theoretically test the thing I just wrote, which is the idea of having this. I've got a function called run smoke test.
Oh, good. It didn't duplicate the code into the test as it has done for so many people.
Yeah. So I actually had to tell it to refactor several times. And when I told it to refactor, it always told me what a wonderful idea it was. And every time it did not get it right. I had to go, we had to continue talking. It's not a very, it's, I feel great, but I'm not sure I'm getting what I want to say. But yeah, so I just said for the original smoke test, I said, just do some dumb things. It's like sending an empty array. You pick what you want, Grok. And it made some of these, and it actually labeled them as numbers. Very cool. It's like, here's a single empty row. Look, I probably would have picked very similar tests. The problem is that it was still broken. As you can see, it should be passing one to the other. And I mean, there are things it should do. So I continued doing smoke tests. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to get really old. Grok, I really like the way you did this. Because he's actually made a little test moniker and throws something at it, and it does it very nicely. So could you continue on doing that? But I'd like to run something from the command line. Oh, yeah, exactly. Sure enough. And the next one is burger. Yeah, or next one is that. So here's test 7. And this is just what we just did. Actually, cat's app sample to app. Same test we just did. Okay. It chooses whether it's in bash, in which case it uses cat, or DOS, in which case it uses type. But it's like 15 freaking lines of code. And I'm like, well, God, gee, that's not the pretty stuff you just showed me before. And then you get down to the bottom of this stuff, and it's like, oh my goodness gracious. He's named it like Grok. He's named the dang thing test 7. It's like, why are you labeling you're coding like I am with A1 text. It's just, no. It's just stop. So I was very disappointed. Where are we at here? Yeah, I was like, no, that's just it. The thing is that the reason I brought this up was it used one architectural paradigm to do this first bunch of tests. Yay. Very nice. It made a little test function, and it made wonderful labels, and you can read it pretty much like English. But when I asked it to extend it to system tests, it used a completely different paradigm. And as a programmer, that ugly. And it's not only ugly, it can be quite confusing, especially since it doesn't have the same calling conventions as the other one. It's like, how do I...
Interesting. What about this, Daniel? Like, on the one hand, those tests 1 through 6, they're more like unit tests, functional tests. Like, I expect the thingy to process this that way, versus the command execution sounds a little bit more like behavior driven. I expect on the outer side, I'm running it because the whole is Unix crap, and so I wonder if it's sort of justified in some sense that one's an internal, API, and the other one's the external behavior, and it gets ugly because it's.
I don't know. Interesting if I provided it a whole bunch of script. I had a whole bunch of human smoke tests. I could ask you to do like a dozen of them. If it would just continue like reproducing this code over and over, because I asked it for number 8, and well, here we go into number 8, and it's the same stuff. It's just that the second smoke test with app test, all done out with the 15, 20 lines of code again. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, I don't want to 20
you're
lines
saying
of code.
Like, why didn't it also do something a little more like it was running through a list of
Yeah,
Test.
I expected a list of tests using common code to call the OS because whatever it's doing here, it's doing the same thing. Run this from the command line is what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
a bunch of repeated lines.
A bunch of repeated lines.
Did you get any like proper unit tests that go directly against the function?
Funny you should ask. So one of the things I asked it to do, I'm like, well, Grok, you're doing a great job. I try to tell it it's doing a good job too, because, hey, it's work environment stuff. But I said, you're doing a great job, Grok, but really, I'm pulling in jagged strings. I'm outputting jagged strings. A lot of this is just going to be jagged strings, okay? Can we make it like an app lib file that just contains like, here's the main function for the app, here's the main function for app test, then I can just test the function, do it like unit test without having to worry about any command line stuff. And I don't know, guys. It told me, once again, genius idea. I try, but it told me it was a genius idea. It made like an app lib. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Did not run, but we got it running. And so it made that. But the thing is once it got to the point, and here it's got a raise equal. We're right here. Yeah, got the tests here. So I've got process app data, which is the heart of the app function. Takes a string array, returns string array. Right. So then I've got process app test somewhere or another. Yeah, prop app test takes a string array, returns a string array. So you should be able to take the test function and add in whatever unit test you want on the data function. But I was just so happy that we finally got it factored out, because it would do things like, so it would make the applib file, and then it wouldn't call it. So then the main script's going like, where's this at? I'm like, hey, Grok, where is this? Oh, I need to include it. Well, yeah, I guess you do. And so it didn't include it. And it would drop out like the script compiler. I'm like, Grok. So the interesting thing that happened here was that the compiler would give me squiggles and warn me about errors that I would then have to understand and tell Grok, so it could actually go back and like, well, wait a minute, why do I have this little red squiggle? Huh? And so we go back, and it would eventually get it right. But I had no idea how much it touched each time I asked it a question. And it really bothered me that we were just having this thrashing around discussion until it looked okay to me. And of course, I remained the genius that I am every time we work. But it bothered me that that's the only kind of result we had, was just continue talking until you're happy. It's like, no, I don't trust you at all. It's just, you're like the worst programmer ever, Grok. Fast typer.
Yeah, it's almost like a junior developer that's maybe not retaining anything.
Yeah, it doesn't. And that was it. There is no mental model that the AI uses to program anything. And when you're programming something, whether you know it or not, you're using some sort of model of what kind of solution you want. Okay, I want to use like a for each, or I want to blah, blah. Getter setters. Some people start with structures and public properties. Bad idea usually, but hey, some people do that. And then actually go to getter setters for the properties. Then they can make that more complex or whatever. But that's a pattern of development. It's not related to any one problem. And so if you mix the types of development, it's lost. It's gone. There's no model there at all.
Yeah, it's wild. I wonder if, like, I know I didn't install it yet, but the latest RubyMine AI, assistant, has, like maybe a couple different levels that you can buy, but one is, definitely can be run in the IDE. I mean, I use one right now next to it, but it sounds like more like I will digest your code and I will give you answers in the context of whatever your code base is. And that's like right now you're sort of, missing that in a sense, or at least maybe after a while.
Oh, I had at one point, I was like, Grok, over here in this main app function here, okay, you're doing a wonderful job. I try to give back, doing a wonderful job, Grok. I appreciate it and everything. But, golly, I'm a functional programmer, and this this initial code you got, look, it's like this huge if, else if, else if. That makes me very sad. And so I'm like, just leave that alone. But I tell you what, go to AppLib, at least make that all pure functional. And it actually could do that. If it left the functionality alone in AppLib, once it was running, it could go through and change everything into one sort of model. It just gets lost when you're like 2 paragraphs later asking a different question that you're assuming you're going back to that first model. It can't switch models. There's no model to switch. It gets very bad about these things. And that's why the 2 or 3 paragraph prompt worked so much better the second time around, is because I tried to cover all the mistakes it would make right up front.
Yeah, you set the context more compactly.
So
and then start it again, because it's sort of like the further that gets in the distance in the history.
Yes.
The less it remembers I'm supposed to behave like that. I don't know. It's just
like when I'm asking you to add in a dash, say, hey, why don't you throw in a dash delimiter, and that way I can use tabs or any sort of regex to split up my columns. And so it went out and it put in that in. I haven't checked that yet. But it'll use best. You can see it go up. I'm looking up best practices now. It will look up regex best practices. So the answers and linkages it uses for one future question you're having may have priority over the model it's created while having a discussion with you earlier. Matter of fact, they do. So good luck. It's a scary, but having said all that, I've got one more thing to say about it. When I finished this up, I was like, it's good enough. Last week, John said, hey, what if you can make this like a templated file? Just ask Grok, hey, can you make like a templated file? And I thought, well, yeah, why not? It seems to run, who knows, doesn't matter. And so I said, hey, Grok, how do I make this a templated Visual Studio file? So I could, what platform should I use to make this templated in all environments, and how should I do that? And it gave me some report, well, you should probably use a Visual Studio template file because you're using .NET. It's going to be on your platform. And then it gave me this beautiful step-by-step direction how to make a project template. And it worked fine. It was beautiful. I read it. It was like 2 pages of stuff. I followed the directions. 10 minutes later, I have a project template. Now, I have no idea why it does anything. The code does it, but it works. It does the thing I asked it for. So it was like, is my productivity any better now? I don't know.
So, Daniel, did it ever provide a version of parse args that used the system environment get command line args?
Yes.
Or so I was wondering if it did that, or if it always just walked through the argument list by hand.
No, this is like version 4, I believe. The thing is that first I believe it did the system that probably would use, and then I told it, look, wait a minute, I'm actually calling. I said, can I call this from a bash file or command file? Because I want to use one word. I don't type in .NET run blah blah blah. Can I just make this into one word? Oh yeah, show me how to do that. Well, I used that, and then it blew up. So I'm like, wait a minute, Grok, this is just working now. It's not. And so it was like, well, okay, well, actually, I can see what's going on. And so it went back and redid how it did args to pick up the second one, because the first one would be the app, but it actually skipped over the .NET args, which are at the beginning of the screen, and moved over to like the appropriate position to pick up the args for the app, which is just, I would call it hacking, because if you follow what I'm saying, John?
Yeah.
So to run code here, you have to go without the file. You go .NET FSI my app.fsx. Okay, then you do whatever after that. So I just wanted to type in my app.
Yeah.
And so so I actually ended up making it my app.shell or whatever. Shell.
Right. You want to be able to just run the file.
But when I passed in options, or like that, well, it's getting the args from .NET.
Right.
Because this would make it the 0, 1, 2, third arg or whatever. Follow me? Because it escapes back to the original thing app, even though I'm in a wrapper, and I don't want to do that. And it was unable to understand. It understood it escaped the command. It got that part, but it just could not figure out how to fix it. We went round and round. And finally I said, just Grok, could you just please just use double dashes? Because I knew the answer to this ahead of time. And I was just wondering if we could get there. And it worked okay, but there would be no solution to that. And it would have kept doing things and told me how awesome I was, and it would just go on forever and ever. For some reason, it was just too many contexts at one time for it to, actually it's a .NET program here I'm running, and I got an F# interpreter here, and I've also got a script. That was just too many different complex environments at one time.
Yeah, you'd almost have to try to teach it that parse args to say how to detect the initial args that you should ignore.
Yes. And to your earlier point, you would have to do that again. I mean, it's not just this time. It would be every time, right?
Yeah.
So it was, I am incredibly impressed, and I don't trust it worth a heck. Both of those. I mean, it saved me for look, oh God, who among us has not done this? How do I actually do a for each with an enumerable? And now you're like on this Google adventure for 3 hours, and okay, and you come back and type it in wrong, and they get the wrong. Grok does it in like a minute, and you're like, frack, that's all. And sometimes it actually does that particular thing correctly. So that feels amazing.
Sometimes it actually works, and that feels great.
Yeah, because it's fast.
40% of the time it works all the time.
Yeah, exactly right. Yes, 1% of the time it works 100% of the time. It's amazing.
I'll take Tim's 40%.
Yeah, it is not a pretty thing. So at the end of the show, we should talk about books or movies. Tim, you have to go first. Any books or movies this previous week you've been reading or consuming?
So I don't have a book. I've got the collection of Godzilla movies.
Ooh.
And so I finally watched Godzilla versus Destroya, which is the smog monster.
Ooh.
Which is terrible. It's terrible in wonderful ways. So if you like that, but otherwise I'm starting to work through the new season of Wednesday, the Addams Family Girl spinoff, which I'm enjoying quite a lot. But I'm not watching any movies because I've just been out, enjoying the environment and the world. And
we enjoyed the season one.
But I did see Bill Bailey in concert yesterday.
Did he come home?
No, he didn't.
Yeah. Wow. Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Yeah.
But he's a tremendous British comedian, and okay. I think if you watch him, you'll enjoy it because he's very musically educated.
Ooh.
And his comedy is quite smart and quite fun and a little absurd. So you'll get a kick out of it. Watch Bill Bailey on
Bill Bailey,
YouTube
we'll make a note of that.
Yeah, the name's familiar.
Yeah, he's bald and genius. He's just genius.
We fell asleep during the first Wednesday, so we need to try that again. So yeah, the new season. And I turned back to continue reading the book Skunk Works. It was about the F-117.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that last week. Sure.
Yeah. And one recent passage, which was kind of astounding, they're talking about Nellis Air Force Base, where they would do a lot of their flights at night, right? They'd make stuff up, so nobody knew what they were doing.
Right.
And but I find it's hard to believe, other than, yes, the big Wild West is huge. The test range is like the size of Switzerland, or basically, which is like the size of Ohio.
Wow. Wow.
Like, what? So I was in there. I didn't fact check it, but I was like, holy shit. Like, are you freaking... I mean, when you're flying, things that go fast, I guess you do need kind of a big test range. The joke was the SR-71, at Mach 3 took like the state of Wyoming to turn around.
A few times I've driven through Nevada, like from Las Vegas to Northern California, and it's just nothing. There's just a lot of nothing. There's just
a lot of nothing.
I mean, I've seen nothing around here, but that's like the only worst nothing I've ever seen was the Outback, and that's even like a whole nother scale of nothing. But there's just a lot of space there with not a lot going on.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. I've not been down under at all. But the nothing that you're talking about, yeah, like, flying out west, at least you look down on the nothing and you'll just see like this weird straight line, like a road.
Yes.
I wonder if even those probably don't exist in the outback. I don't know. I'm
Not
just
very
guessing.
much. It's like 300 miles is a pretty typical distance between like places you can get gas. Yeah,
Actually, Highway to Hell by AC/DC
yeah.
was
That's a
written
lot.
about one of the roads in Australia because they just hated driving it for their concerts. It's just a very, very long, dry, dead stretch with
Yeah.
nothing.
I know there's ones, I don't know if that's the ones that I've heard there's like the ones that cross that,
Yeah.
and then they have the truck trains. Where
Yeah.
you're supposed to basically, when one's coming, and you're in a car, you get off the road, I heard, or something. Like, then they're just hauling ass. And it's just this super straight road.
I know.
I think maybe at most one minor turn in the middle, slight turn. I
I
forget.
told this to the guys before, but you'd pass a junk car. Somebody wrecked a car, and it'd just still be there 10 years later because it's not worth the gas to go out and pick it up. It
It says that the road was the Canning Highway in Western Australia. Was the Highway to Hell.
Ooh. I can look that up. Is that around Alice Springs, out to Perth, or?
I'm going to see if I can get a map of it real quick, and then I'll know.
Speaking of Perth, there's a funny world record that was set and then broken, but I want to say it was like the P-2 Neptune, aircraft. Flew from Columbus, Ohio to Perth nonstop.
Wow.
I don't know. That stuck in my head as a kid, probably because I lived in Columbus and went to Wright Pat, like the museum. But I wonder if that's true. When you said Perth, that stat just popped into my head.
We left
By the
Perth.
way, the original Perth is just north of me a bit.
Oh yeah, well, we are
The
pretty
one
late.
yours is named after.
Yeah, I saw the headline the other day was like, a balloon emergency lands in Bedford. I'm like, holy cow, it's just right down the road. And it's not another Bedford. It was
It's not Bedford, Indiana. It's not Bedford,
yeah,
Pennsylvania.
you guys got it. You guys got the first of everything. Dang it. It's not right. So I've watched two things. Finished up 3 seasons. So help me goodness, War of the Worlds. How they can make one stupid story about aliens landing and catching a cold into 3 seasons, I don't know. But if you have nothing, if you have no life, and you just want something in the background, 3 seasons of this. It just keep going and going. At one point, I think in episode 2 or 3, somebody comes in and goes, "Something's happening," and I'm like, "Thank God, something's finally happening." And I went to the TV, and there was nothing. We went through the whole season trying to figure out. Oh, you know what? It might be aliens. Like, it's been 8 episodes. Gee, it's aliens.
Point in coming.
It's object coming. And so the second thing Melissa and I both watched is Untamed. It's supposed to be a cross between Yellowstone and I don't know, Sherlock Holmes or whatever. Secret. Sorry. What's that detective show? God dang. Anyway, so it's a detective show that's like Yellowstone. What is it? First season was awesome. Woody Harrelson, Matt McConaughey, Answers from the Crowd.
I see it on IMDb.
True Detective. That's it.
Ah,
So yes, it's supposed to be a cross between True Detective and Yellowstone. I brought this up because you mentioned the test area being the size of Switzerland. This is about Yosemite, which they say is the size of Rhode Island. I did not know that. It's huge.
yeah. There you go. This stuff's big out there. Yeah, but yeah, so I was right. The Neptune flew 11,235 miles nonstop, 55 hours and 17 minutes.
So did you read a lot about test pilots?
Yeah, and World War One and World War Two.
Yeah,
I used to be able to fall asleep dreaming about being a fighter pilot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chuck Yeager, in his biography, he was talking about some of the planes, when they would bring in these experimental planes on the test grounds, they would bring them in above the runway quite a ways back, and they would just let them drift and on their cushion of air until they finally settled down on their own. Because it was often dangerous to try to land them otherwise.
Oh, wow.
So they would use all the runway you give
Wow.
them,
Yeah.
especially with the high-speed planes. They would just let them layer. I think he was talking about the Valkyrie. They just
Oh, the
it just hung
XB7.
there,
Yeah.
zipping above the ground, and just didn't want to settle down for the longest
Right.
time because it was riding its own wave until it finally clicked in.
Yeah. Basically, within one wing span, they have what's called ground effect. And sometimes it's actually, like you almost have to goose the throttle. Like, come on, we're going to run out of runway. Get the hell down. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Yeah.
Yeah, John makes
Push it off the
comments. You make,
ground.
John, Leah, I think on Twitter you make comments on various plane videos or questions.
Yeah.
So I've been liking a lot of those, and I'm getting like airplane videos now, and there's some good stuff.
Yeah,
Good
I
stuff.
got a lot of them.
You'll see these 747s like crabbing in, like at 40-degree angle to their runway. They're coming down. It's like, yeah, that's a lot.
Everybody's like, "Oh, that's a bad landing," and I'm like, "No, that was great."
That's exactly, you did it exactly the
Wow.
right way, yeah. Because you got to figure out how much can you cock that and still kick it back out right at the very end.
Yeah, that's the skilled part. It's a very last second to do it just right. And what's even crazier is if you go to look for videos when they're actually doing they're doing purposeful off-axis landing gear tests.
Hmm.
So instead of kicking rudder, they put it down at that angle,
Oh, just
which is,
get it in.
that's why gear is so thick, because it has to take those kind of side loads. And those are the scary ones when you see a big Airbus or something.
Oh, yeah. That's like 20 tons or
Plus,
whatever.
That's also why they have the ability to take the landing gear trucks and rotate them.
Not like the
Off-axis.
B-52 does that, I believe. B-52 has...
Yeah,
You
I
don't
don't
want
know.
them to break a leg on landing.
No.
Nah, that's no good.
I mean, that happened in when the crash happened in Canada. In the wintertime, they came down and forgot to flare. It's like they landed 10 feet under the runway.
Oh, man.
And she, I think she was flying, but it sheared off the right gear. So, it's coming down. It basically, because there was a pilot, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a plane waiting, and the guy was just filming it per chance. And so you see it come, and it doesn't do the usual flare, slow down and then touch down. It just went, it's like a carrier landing, except they're carrying extra.
Yeah,
they have a little
I
extra-
see. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
They have a little, I mean.
She was
they
in a
have little
stall.
extra-
Yeah.
Yeah, so it came in and hit super hard.
Yeah.
And I think the gear are usually they'll take over 4 Gs. They'll take a pretty big hit. And it snapped and came right through, ripped the wing off.
After I took some
And
air.
then the left wing, sorry,
Go
Daniel, but
ahead.
the left wing's of course still generating lift, and it's gotten their right wing. And so then it just basically, generates lift, and the whole thing flips over on its back. Nobody died,
Oh, gosh. Wow.
but it just sheared off that's such, because she did a one-wheel landing and just bam. Just
Nobody
threw it.
died, but you couldn't convince them of that.
No. Hey, you
The
guys
only
are pretty
person
lucky.
that got hurt- yeah, I think a couple people might have got hurt because they probably released their seatbelts too soon while they were upside down.
I bet you a lot of
They
pucker
fell.
marks in those seats after that. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
we had,
Wild.
I
I did
think they
take,
could trash that because the upholstery cleaning would have run.
yeah, that was, yeah, the local laundromat was real busy for a while. I did do some aerobatic training for a while. When I came back, I used to drive my
Oh,
instructors crazy because, I took actually 2 week-long courses. But what you're talking about, John, is when you're coming down, there's a crab and there's a slip, but you can
Yep.
also kind of adjust your angle of attack such that you're almost in a stall. You're like what they call a mush. And when you
Yep.
do that, you're taking the elevator, you're going down fast. And I was okay with that because I'd point the nose and do several things at the end, but the instructors did not. When I came back for regular flight instructors, like, no, I'm like, isn't this cool? We can land like 50, just come straight like a helicopter. It's like, nah, stop.
Right. Yeah. Especially doing a slip. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, the difference between, flying by ourselves, you can land, you can tilt the wings into the crosswind so that you're flying straight down the runway and land on one wheel.
Yes.
But it's pretty uncomfortable for passenger airlines. So they have to crab into the wind and keep the wings level. That's
You learn that as best practices. Like, they want to see like both wheels. People are funny. I don't,
Yeah, some reason they don't want to sit there like this while they're coming in for a landing.
the first flight I had with my instructor, he actually pulls the power, which they do with the first flight to show you nothing to be scared of. But he did the one wheel landing. He glided all the way down and did a one wheeler. And I looked over expecting to see the devil himself. And he was just as calm as he's like, yeah, see, no problem. It just works like an airplane.
Yep.
Let me say goodbye here, guys. Okie dokie, okie dokie. Oh, there you go. This is the Roundup. We're here every week. There was a duck. Let me go back over. The duck is your friend. Click on the duck. The duck loves you. The duck will take you to our Discord. And once you get to our Discord, you're welcome to post articles and join in the chat every week. I'm Daniel Markham, and I will see you on the internet. Okay, stop streaming. Yay. I thought that went pretty good, guys. You did.
Thanks, Tim. Good seeing you.
Yeah. You coming back to see us, Tim? Please come back, please.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe sometime. Yeah, right now I think what's really important is I got to get out of here and go get some cheese.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we like cheese. So does our granddaughter.
Yes, you have a friend in Jesus.
Yeah.
I'll be immortal.
Get one of those big wheels like they sell in Switzerland.
Oh, yeah.
Forever. All right, catch you guys later.
Bye-bye.
All right,
Goodbye.
see ya.
Okay, cool beans. Okay, now stop recording.